You have a great idea, you can feel it, but the thought of spending the next 3 weeks combing through Reddit threads, Quora answers, G2 reviews, LinkedIn jobs and comments, and every forum and Facebook groups in between, just to figure out whether that idea has legs, that is exhausting before you have even started. What if I told you that 4 qualifying questions can get you to the meat of it, what your audience needs and what they are willing to pay for, far faster than any amount of manual scrolling? What is my audience? What is their niche? What do they currently pay for what I am about to offer them? And what specific part of their work am I stepping into? Answer those 4 questions with precision, and you have something that would have taken you weeks to piece together on your own: the real pain, the real cost, the real gap, and the real opening. For the sake of this walkthrough, we are going to look at independent physical therapy clinics, and by the time we are done, you will see exactly how those 4 questions turn into a full picture of an underserved audience and the product that serves them. Before we go any further, I wrote a free workbook for exactly this. It's called AI Products and Income. It's a fillable document with exercises that match every chapter of what I'm about to walk you through. Grab it in the description and work through it as we go. Let's get into it. We are inside Demand Altas, a tool that I have built to help you find and build your next opportunity. Now here is the form, 4 fields. Let me show you what each one is actually asking and why the precision of your answer changes everything that comes back. For this sake, for this example, we are going to look at independent physical therapy clinics as our audience, healthcare as our niche, our stage as a growing business. This allows us to assess they're willing to pay since they're already spending on resources. And lastly, the part of the need you are stepping into is to generate weekly insurance pre-authorization letters. Here is the summary you see, which also includes 3 themes: administrative time sink, cash flow strangulation, and tool-patient mismatch. These are the structural patterns connecting everything underneath. Keep them in mind as we go through the findings, because they tell you that this is not one isolated problem, it is a cluster of connected problems and a solution that only touches one of them. Finding 01. Insurance pre-authorization documentation nightmare. Before we read any of the detail, I want you to understand the 3 badges you see on every finding, because these are the first thing you should look at. And once you know how to read them, they tell you immediately whether a problem is worth building for. The first badge is severity. This one measures how painful the problem is for the person experiencing it. The scale runs from mild to low, to moderate, to high, to critical. Critical means this pain is actively disrupting their work or costing them in a measurable way. It is not an inconvenience. Finding 01 is rated critical. The second badge is trend. This tells you whether the pain is getting more common or less common right now. Growing means more people are talking about it, more complaints are appearing, the problem is intensifying. Stable means it is persistent but not accelerating. Declining means it is being solved or fading. Finding 01 is growing, meaning whatever is causing this is not getting better on its own. The third badge is volume. This measures how widely discussed the pain is across communities and platforms. High volume means it shows up constantly, multiple subreddits, review sites, professional forums. Low volume means it is a real pain but fewer people talk about it publicly. Finding 01 is high volume, so when you see critical, growing, high volume on the same finding, read that as this pain is severe, it is getting worse, and a lot of people are already talking about it out loud. That is your highest priority signal. That is where the opportunity is sharpest. Now the numbers. 85% of this audience is affected. Annual cost $8,000 to $15,000 per clinic. Admin staff spending 20 to 25 hours every single month on pre-authorization alone. That is more than half a full-time work week every month on one administrative task. The root cause column tells you why it keeps happening. Every insurance company has different forms, different portals, different documentation standards, and they update them constantly without telling providers. The why it stays unsolved column is where your opening lives, WebPT and Therabil EMR have pre-authorization modules, but they are afterthoughts. Simple Practice does not understand PT treatment progressions at all. And look at where this leaves Reddit r/physical therapy, G2 practice management software reviews, APTA Connect community forums. Then the quote, I spend 6 hours every Monday just doing pre-authorization for the week. Each insurance wants different forms, different justification language, and half the time their portals are down or have updated requirements that nobody tells you about until your claim gets denied 3 weeks later. That is your landing page headline. That is your first line of outreach. That is the sentence that makes a practice administrator stop scrolling because someone has finally said out loud what they feel every Monday morning. Finding 02. Cash flow uncertainty from delayed approvals. 75% of this audience, $5,000 to $12,000 per clinic per year in financing costs, meaning they are borrowing or drawing down reserves to cover the gap while waiting for approvals. $800 to $1,200 a month in delayed revenue. And the quote, we're always playing this guessing game. Do we start treating Mrs. Johnson even though Anthem hasn't approved her pre-authorization yet? If we wait, she loses momentum in her recovery. If we treat and get denied, we're out $800 in services and she still needs to pay out of pocket. That is a clinical and ethical dilemma being created by an administrative failure, and no accounting software addresses it. QuickBooks cannot predict insurance approval timelines, and WebPT shows pending claims but provides no forecasting based on historical approval patterns. Finding 03, 70% affected, $3,000 to $7,000 per year in rework and denials, 8 to 12 hours a month just tracking requirement changes across 10 to 15 different insurance plans. Cigna changed their pre-authorization requirements for manual therapy in March, but I didn't find out until May when I got 8 denials in 1 week. Now I have to resubmit everything with additional documentation they never mentioned before. 8 denials in 1 week because a policy changed and no one communicated it. And this keeps happening because there is no system watching for those changes on behalf of independent clinics. Finding 04, 80% of the audience, $4,000 to $9,000 a year in labor costs, 12 to 18 hours a month per admin staff. I entered the same patient information 4 different times, once in WebPT for the evaluation, again in our billing system, then manually type it all into the Aetna portal, and finally into our tracking spreadsheet. It's 20 minutes per patient, and if I make one typo, the whole pre-authorization gets delayed. 20 minutes per patient multiplied across every new patient, every reauthorization every week, and one typo anywhere in that chain delays payment for the whole clinic. Finding 05, 60% affected, $6,000 to $12,000 a year in turnover costs. Admin staff spending 25 to 30% of their time on pre-authorization work they were never trained for and did not sign up to do. I took this job to help patients get better, not to become an expert in Anthem's pre-authorization portal quirks. When I mess up a form and someone's PT gets delayed, I feel terrible. It's not what I signed up for, and honestly, I'm looking for something else. She is leaving, and the clinic is going to spend months replacing her and training someone new who will also eventually burn out on the same work. That is what $6,000 to $12,000 a year in turnover costs actually looks like in human terms. Now look at what the report does with all of that. One solution brief per finding, each one mapped directly to the pain. Finding 01 maps to Authflow PET, automated pre-authorization letter generation. Price signal $150 to $300 per month. And here is the TAM estimate, 12,000 independent PT clinics multiplied by $200 per month equals $288 million. TAM stands for Total Addressable Market. It is the answer to the question, if every potential buyer for this solution paid for it, how big is the opportunity? It is not a promise of what you will make. It is a measure of the ceiling, the full size of the room you are walking into. $288 million means that even capturing a small fraction of this market is a meaningful business. Finding 0-2 maps to cash flow, predict PT cash flow forecasting based on historical approval patterns, $100 to $250 per month, $216 million TAM. Finding 0-3 maps to requirement tracker pro automated monitoring of insurance requirement changes, $75 to $150 per month, $120 million TAM. Finding 0-4 maps to data bridge TEMR to insurance portal integration, $120 to $200 per month, $192 million TAM, and finding 0-5 maps to Admin PT, workflow automation to reduce administrative burden on non-clinical staff, $180 to $300 per month, $144 million TAM. Each brief gives you what the product does, who the buyer is, what they're already spending on the problem, the exact gap in the competitive landscape, and positioning copy written in the language of the audience drawn directly from the pain they described in their own words. You came in with 4 inputs. You came out with 5 validated product briefs, 5 documented pain points with severity scores and real dollar costs, 5 sets of customer quotes that double as copy, and the exact online communities where the conversation is already happening. When you walk into your research knowing your audience precisely, understanding the world they operate in, knowing what they are already paying for, and naming the specific workflow you are stepping into, what you get back is a picture of a real group of people, the real weight of a real problem, and a real opening that is documented and specific enough to build on. Start with the 4 questions. Everything else follows from there. If you wish to access the tool that I have used for this example, comment tool, and I will send you the link. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.